check. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. What's up, Jerry Macbeth? How are you doing, buddy? Michael Bradley's in the house. Patrick Kingray. What's happening, buddy? Chris Benninger. I'm Green Fishing Machine. Always good to see you, buddy. Bob Donahue. What's up, Bob? How are you, pal? Jim Saban. Yeah, I tell you. We just finished up with a big old storm, but it's sunny now. Tim H., how are you? LP Bass. Yakin River Rat, what's happening? Randall Miller. I'm glad to see you back, buddy. That's cool. Conway. How are you, Conway? Good to see you, bud. TP. Gio Miller. Gio. Joseph Cascarino, as always, buddy. Good to see you, pal. Frank Garvey. Ed Ranowski. OG's in the house. TP. Itty Bitty Poppers. It's a good finesse technique. Come on. Mike Hayer, what's up, man? Lisa Lake's in the house. Matthew Weimer, Danny Powes, Jason Stutzman. Hey, Jason, how are you, bud? Yeah, man. What else you going to do on a Thursday night? That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Amy Lynn Brown, how are you, Amy? Nick Cool, David Schottemeyer, Crappy Kev. Man, we got a great pile of people rolling in here. Good to see everybody stopping in and hanging out with us.
When I think of you, if I am down or when I am blue, and I can't get enough.
Good to see everybody here at Tackle Shop Live. We come at you every Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and we just absolutely love it. We love talking tackle. We love talking technique, and we certainly love to talk about tournaments. Man, we love it all. Good to see everybody. Nick, how you been, bud?
Oh, I'm pumped up.
I know, man.
A little tired of the rain, but, the fish don't mind.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you, we just got hammered with a giant storm, but, it's all in par,
Have you ever seen an early season with this much rain and carrying on?
It's funny you say that because I was just thinking about it today. Back in 1990 or 91, it was right after we went in business. We had one of the worst wet springs ever.
Really?
And it killed us. We were just young in business and gearing up for a big old season, and it was just rain after rain. The river was at 14 or above for over a month.
Wow.
And it just rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled and just mud and crazy. The fishing was great. I remember fishing down on the Conowinga Pool back in a creek called Broad Creek. And the river was so high and so muddy for so long, all the fish went back there. And we went down there, my father and I went down there and fished and just slayed largemouth like it was going out of style. It was so much fun, and I still remember that, but it was just there was a lake called Muddy Run Lake, a little local lake here. And it was always a clear lake, never dirty. This time it was 4 feet high and it was mud. That's how much rain we got. I've never seen that lake like that since or before, but it was total mud. And I caught my personal best smallmouth that year. At the time, it was my PB smallie up in the trees, the flooded trees and everything on a slider worm, a pumpkin seed. No, it wasn't a slider worm. It was on a slider head, but it was a ringworm, pumpkin seed ringworm in muddy water. Why I was throwing out, I have no idea, but we threw that sucker out there and I caught this giant smallmouth. George passed it up. He thought it was a carp in there slashing around, and here it was a big smallie. And I caught that fish, and it was over 5 pounds. It was my at the time my PB, so it was pretty cool. But man, so yeah, I've seen it worse.
Well, the thing is, you take notice of it. If we're allowing the weather to keep us off the water, we're making a mistake because
yeah,
the fishing's still good.
Oh, I had a guy in here the other day, and he was just rambling on about how terrible water's been muddy. I haven't even been out yet. Water's always muddy. I'm like, think about this a minute. The fish got to eat. They got to eat. They're not going to hold their nice bellies. You know, they're not going to hold their nice bellies by not eating. They gotta eat. They're going to find a way to eat in all conditions. They acclimate. We talked about this last week, you know, and how they fish acclimate to the water. But, you know, what we always said was it just puts the fish in easier places to catch them. Really, honestly, it stacks them up, and you have these great days. But yeah, I think about back in the early 90s there, where we had that one spring. It was horrible, man. It was horrible for business. It was horrible for everything. But I was thinking about that today. So funny you brought that up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But hey, Nick, I wanted to ask you something. Do you sharpen your hooks a lot?
You know, George is not going to be proud of me for this, but I'm about like you, Mike, to be honest with you. I'm a hook changer.
Yeah.
I'll change hooks and I'll rob. It's so funny that you say that, because I was showing on Pre-Tackle Shop Live a top water that I caught fish on. Well, the story behind that top water is when I got it out of the box, it was the only one that I had this color I wanted to use.
Yeah.
And it did not have good hooks.
Yeah.
And I should have sat down. I should have filed hooks. I should have did all the stuff you're supposed to. What did I do? I start robbing hooks off other baits, and, you know, but, you know,
yeah,
that's the way it kind of goes sometimes. How about you?
Well, I mean, I've gotten better over the years. I'm a lot better than I ever been. You know, I'll stop, I'll take a minute, and I'll touch up a jig hook, especially fishing around rocks and stuff, or you know, fishing a crankbait for a while, and you're just grinding the rocks and you're rolling them points off. You know, we'll just stop for a minute and just touch them up. But, you know, I can't emphasize how important that is when you're fishing, because you got to figure, you know, when you're down there banging around, you know, those points are getting knocked into rocks, and they're, you know, every now and then you hang up and you pull it loose. You know, that's the point, hanging up on that rock. You know, it could be the point of the hook hanging up on that rock. So, but I was had a conversation with a guy again today, and he was saying, it was Mike Reinhold earlier in the week when he fished a tournament over the weekend, and he was losing these fish. And if he would have caught all the fish that he lost, he would have won the tournament. And I was just thinking to myself,
you know what that means?
What?
If the queen had balls, she'd have been the king.
That's true. That's true. But I was just thinking, you know, and you know, I should have said, hey, did you change your hook? Did you try sharpening your hook after you lost the first one, or did you check your hook or whatever? And I never asked that question, but all week I've been thinking about asking him that next time I see him, about, you know, did you think to stop and just touch up your point of the hook or something?
It is very important,
because it's unbelievable how many times you'll just all of a sudden just go down there and check your point and it's bent over.
Yep.
It's just crazy how many times
little
tip just rolled over.
Yep.
a little bit, and how important it is just to take a moment. And, you know, there's a million files out there in the market. We sell a couple of them. But there's ways of doing it. And maybe what we'll do is we'll do a nice video on showing people how to sharpen those hooks up. But, you know what I took notice too, like crankbaits, top waters with treble hooks. You throw them all in your box, yeah, and
they're rolling around in your boat. They're rolling around everywhere. A lot of times that does wear and tear to your hooks. You know, I take notice of.
Biggest thing ever, you know, that we discuss is leave your hooks in the packages.
Absolutely,
they come in. You know, just leave them in those packages. That keeps them still, holds them in place. It doesn't allow them to roll around and busted points over. We say that about that all the time, and how important that is, because the points, and I guarantee you, all you guys watching and gals, if you go into your tackle box right now and start checking your hooks, you know, taking the point, putting it on your, I don't know if I have one here or not. I probably don't. But just put one on your fingernail.
I always have one.
You can put it on your fingernail and just pull on it.
And I always have a hook file.
Oh, look at you,
no matter where I go.
Yeah. So, you know, you can, you take the point of the hook and just put it on your finger. And if it slides across your finger real easy, it doesn't have an edge. You can see this one's real sticky. It just wants to stick. It won't slide on my finger. It just sticks right in there. And I'm not pushing hard on it. I'm just kind of just barely pulling on that thing. And you can see it kind of grabs a hold there. But if you go in your tackle boxes right now and start messing around with that,
check that one.
You'll see.
I mean, them fish ate half the skirt off of that thing.
Yeah.
It's got to work.
Yeah. So this one here has, see, this one just slides. See that? Doesn't even want to cut in. It's just sliding. So that one there, it's been fished hard. It's been worked through the ringer, and it just needs a touch up.
Let me show you how to do that. Bring her in, Nick.
It's just one of those things that if you guys go into your box, you'll be amazed on how dull some of your hooks are. You'll be absolutely dumbfounded.
So here's what you want to do. So if you look at the hook.
LP Bass got it. Yeah, absolutely. LP Bass.
We're going to have what we're going to call the side. And then we have another side. We're going to look at it from the front. Side, side, and then look at the file because you can't really see the hook that great. That angle, that's a 45. So not straight on top, not on the side, picture a 45 between the side and the top. So in essence, we're going to create a diamond point. Now, what's really important is that you don't remove very much material. And what's also really important is that you don't change the angle. So if you look at this hook, and we're going to use the file. So if I lay this hook down on this file and I rock it, right there's my angle, okay? If I bring this file out like this, now I'm changing the angle of that point. And I'm going to make almost like a splitting wedge, if you can think about that. And I'm going to actually have a sharp hook that loses me a lot of fish.
Because punching holes.
Yeah, it's tearing that mouth.
Yeah, it's tearing that mouth.
So, and this is, everybody has their own way of doing things. I'm just going to tell you, this is my system for sharpening a hook. And it works very well. So I'm going to recommend it to you. First of all, get a nice fine-toothed file. Okay, the best one that we're selling these days is a Rapala. High carbon steel, fine teeth. Okay, that's what we're recommending. Now, if there's something else that you prefer to use, like I know Real Perfection Joe likes a diamond stone. That's great. If you learn to work with that, that's great. I believe that the high carbon file is the ultimate hook sharpener. And also, I don't move the file, I move the hook. So I hold my file. Now, these teeth are herringbone this way. If you look at the file, you got the herringbone pattern, right? So that means they cut in this direction. They don't cut in this direction. So the hook has to be going into the file. Okay? So we're going to touch up both sides. Okay, so I rock it. I feel the flat. I know my angle's right. Right? Three strokes. Flip the file. Okay, feel it. Okay, now the 45. And the 45. Now, I like to take my thumb and I like to go with the hook, feeling for a burr. No burr? There she is, people, hanging by its own weight on my thumbnail. Surgical.
Yeah, so it doesn't really take a whole lot to cut that little burr off at the end and just touch it up. And that's what we call, when we say we're sharpening our hooks, we're just touching. We're not like grinding at it. We're just touching it up a little bit just to bring back that super sharp little.
You're kind of polishing what's there, and that's why this fine tooth file is important. This is a very fine tooth It's high carbon steel. Now, this will rust. And they're expensive. So take your Line Magic or your Kevin Van Dam Line Magic or whatever line spray you use. Spray your tools down once in a while. That puts a coating of silicone on there, protects it. Because they're expensive. When they rust, the rust fills in those grooves and your file becomes useless. So take care of it. That's one of the 5 essential tools. I'm going to call it 6 essential tools that you should have in your boat. A hook file, a really good pair of needle nose, not 8-inch minimum. Okay, so most needle nose are sold in 6-inch, 8-inch, and 11. I recommend that you carry a minimum of a pair of 8-inch needle nose. Fine point. Okay, we're bass fishing. We're using small hooks. Those fancy boy saltwater pliers that go in your little leather case, you know, they're no good. They're too wide, and they're not good at grabbing small hooks. So you want the little pointy, little pointy needle nose. You want it to come out to a little point to where you can grab that hook, okay? A hook cutter. Okay, so for that purpose, a diagonal side cutter. Now, the one we like is the Mustad. And it has a multiplier on it. So it's like double jointed, double torque. So, you have a fish hooked in the gullet like that. You can't take that hook out. So we take and put the line in our teeth, put pressure on it, bring our side cutter in, cut the hook immediately. Not try to dig around for 5 minutes. Have your stuff together. Be ready. Okay, that fish is gullet hooked. I can see the point, but he's in the gullet. Boom, cut it. Boom, needle nose, grab the point, pull it through. But you got to be prepared. You can't have your needle nose pliers over here and your cutter over here. Your tools, it's like working on a car. You got to have your tools out.
I'm glad you brought that up, George, because I thought of you Monday. So I catch this smallmouth with the top water. And unfortunately, the hook is really close to its eye. I mean, it's not good. And I remembered a fishing trip with you earlier this spring where we stopped what we were doing and George gets out the cutter. Hey, you sacrifice a hook, but you save the fish.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. I found my cutter, cut 2 hooks out of the treble, and then just pulled the hook out. And you know what? So what? I lost a hook.
Yeah.
But I didn't lose the fish.
That's right.
Think about it being in your hand and the hook point is sticking through. Okay. Cut the point off, pull the hook out.
Yeah.
You get a lot of fish that are hooked deep in the mouth and back into the cheek, and you can't get torque on them to get the hook out. 2 things. Pinch the barb down and back the hook out, or cut the hook, as you just said. Now, anybody that comes on here and says, oh, hooks are expensive. Come on, man. Give me a freaking break, okay? I mean, how many hooks do you use in a year's time? I mean, if you can't, pinch down a barb or cut a hook off to salvage a fish, you might want to reevaluate. I mean, come on. I mean, it's a couple bucks. At the end of the day, I mean, you might be down a spinner bait, you might be down a chatterbait, you might be down a half a dozen hooks of a year of hard fishing for those deep hooked in the cheek where you can't get it out and you're tearing the fish up. At the end of the day, come on. That's why those cutters come in. And I mean, that multiplying cutter that Mustad has, you can cut a 6/0 flipping hook in half one-handed. That is impressive.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's a great tool to have. And I don't think many people have that tool in their boat.
Oh, you got to have it. You got to have it. So, so you got the 8-inch needle nose plier. You have the multiplier side cutter. You have the high carbon steel fine tooth hook hone. We really like the Rapala. This is actually the Lure Jensen, which is a Rapala company. I've been using these yellow handle ones forever. So be it. You got to have a good pair of scissors. Now, not just one.
Yeah, jump in our boat once. There's freaking scissors laying everywhere.
Not just one. So what I like to do is buy 5 pairs of scissors at the beginning of the year. And when I get home and open up my garage, I stand at the front of each boat and I just throw them like dice. And wherever they land, they land.
That's true. I tell you, we don't have to look far to find a pair of scissors.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Oh,
because I'm usually half the day bitching, where are my scissors? And what happens with scissors is they're like mice on a sinking ship. They all huddle up in one spot.
Yeah, they migrate.
And that spot is as far away from you as possible.
And it's always that guy. You're looking for scissors, you can't find them, and then the guy either in the middle of the boat or in the back of the boat has them all stockpiled.
Yeah. Because he had to change his lure 37 times.
Yeah.
Trim his skirts down 9 times.
Yeah.
Because he's getting his lunch handed to him. So you need good scissors because you're cutting braid
all day.
You're trimming weed guards. You're trimming skirts. You're tweaking. You're dialing in. You gotta have the essential tools in your boat. Hook file, 8-inch needle nose, not 6-inch. It's no good. 8-inch, or longer.
Side cutters,
multiplying side cutters, scissors. Now, a lot of you aren't going to get this next one. And I say, shame on you. But you need an excellent pair of split ring pliers. Okay? This is the Texas Tackle split ring plier. And, I'm going to make a bold statement. This is the best split ring plier.
Yeah, no doubt. 75.
That there is. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's see. Where's a split ring when you need one? Here we go. Let me get one of my small spoons here. So when you try to open this spoon up, split ring, to change it out, because Mike decided to take it out of your structure spoon box and go striper fishing with it in the ocean and didn't rinse it off, and now all your hardware is completely freaking ruined. Or something of that effect. When you open up the split ring, the problem with everybody else's split ring pliers, and these aren't, I didn't stutter.
Nope.
I'm not saying pliers. I'm saying priors. Because these are called split ring priors.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I didn't stutter.
No.
But here's the key. When the split ring spreads open like that with your typical split ring plier that was made by someone who's never operated a split ring in their life, ever. Their boss told them to make pliers that will open up a split ring. They have no clue what happens when you open a split ring. But they're good at making pliers. You see how the bottom jaw sticks out past the splitter and supports it? This ring is not trying to wrap around underneath this particular prior. Don't believe me? Go out in your boat and get yours out that have the split ring opener and the bottom jaw are even. and open up your split ring. I'll wait. And tell me how that works for you. Look at that. What's nice about this is because it has that traction, I can put this down in here like this and get it started. Even this rusted up, battered veteran split ring, abused, I can start it. Now I can use these pliers, slide back, slide back, slide back, slide back, slide back, ring off. Ring's not mangled. It's not sprung. If I wanted to use this rusty, old, nasty split ring again, I could put it right back on again, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to salvage my spoon, take both of these off, and put a lock on my jig and spoon box.
I had a great idea one day, Nick.
Essential tool number 5.
Yeah.
Needle nose, multiplying side cutter, hook file, scissor, split ring prior. You got to have those 5 tools. If you're into this the way you're into this, you got to have those 5 tools. And I'm going to tell you right now, I carry multiples of them. I got 2 or 3 of every one of them in my boat.
Well, that's a good idea because it's so frustrating when you can't find what you're looking for.
Oh, there's nothing more frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll freaking melt down right in the middle of the damn lake. Power pole down. Everybody stop fishing. Tear this boat apart and find my freaking pliers.
What else would you put? What other tools would you put, Nick?
For me, well, so you're talking tools like that.
Fishing tools. Yeah. What about your O-ring applier? O-ring tool. Gotta have one of them.
You know what? That's funny you say that because I just had to search for mine this week.
Yeah, you got to have that handy.
That's essential.
And
I'd like to add to the conversation on that. You know, I was looking at the VMC the other day, and theirs is plastic.
That's a great idea.
And the part that the O-rings go on is not removable. It is tapered, and you roll the O-ring up over them, and then they drop onto the part that you would normally screw out. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, it's nice.
If you're a tidal water fisherman, or if you go to the ocean with your $20 structure spoon and do that, you can see dissimilar metals. They don't get along well. So if you have an aluminum tool with a steel screw and you don't take care of your stuff, that's what happens. And then when you want to take the screw out of there, it's all gnarly.
Yeah.
I really like that VMC Wacky Worm Tool.
Yeah.
That is a great idea.
That was a good one.
What?
I could give you another tool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with a lure retriever. Of
Ah,
some sort.
It's a good one.
now are you doing on a rope?
Well, I have the pole that you guys got.
The Alabama rig getter
Oh,
backer.
yeah. Yeah, I like that.
So my favorite one is the Pocket Whopper.
Pocket Whopper?
My favorite.
You mean the one that we have in our boat with the little paper clip on it?
No, that's Bill.
With the
Yeah,
pa-
with the paper
with the
clip.
paper
Yep,
clip.
the Popper Whopper. So what you do is
We
you
call
get,
I thought we called them pocket rockets.
well, we used to, but now we can't have those made anymore because the mold's gone.
Oh,
So now we are doing our own. We're taking a disc sinker
yeah.
or a bank sinker or even a pyramid sinker, and we're putting a big number 5 duo lock snap on it because you can open them on both sides, duo. And then we're clicking it on our line and getting the trick with that is get straight over top of your bait and let her go.
And you got to have them in your boat.
You got to have them. I mean, that whole expense right there. And big, heavy sinkers are expensive. And I like about an ounce or two. that's a couple dollar sinker, maybe $3 sinker. You got, 50-cent snap. So you got about $3.50 in your finder. But when you drop it down there and you knock off a $10 crankbait, you know what happened? You just made $6.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done that plenty of times.
You just made $6.50 because you had to cost your whopper.
Oh yeah. We had one time we were fishing this tournament. We were hanging up in this brush pile and we kept knocking these crankbaits off. And we had a plug knocker. One of those plug knockers we had was valued at $126. That's how many times, that's how many lures we saved.
And a lot of times you can ease up on that brush pile, slide that thing down, knock that bait loose, ease on back, cast up in there, and a fish are all like fired up and catch one.
Yeah. Yeah, it works.
So pocket whopper.
I think probably the last tool is the lip gripper.
Yes.
When you're dealing with a bunch of treble hooks, and you don't want to deal with fish flopping around and getting a treble hook in your thing, a good, nice pair of lip grippers, snap them on there, shuts the fish down, get in there with your pliers. You don't get anywhere near
the little ones.
Yeah.
You know what we call them? Hospital fish.
Put you in the hospital.
They are the ones that get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the essential tools. A little tip for sharpening a hook. Okay. Don't put a lot of pressure on there. Polish it up essentially.
Yep.
4-sided. And, you're going to catch more fish. Now, there is a limitation on how many times you can sharpen a hook because you are eventually going to change that shape. But if you think about it, that hook is banging on the bottom. It's banging on rock. If it's on a crankbait, it's dragging on the sides of the crankbait or the top water. You see the hook swings on there. Well, that is the hook, the points. Mike made a great point. When you store your hooks, keep them in the package. That way they're not jingling and jangling around. You're driving, towing. Everything's in there flipping and flopping. I fished with Real Perfection Joe 2 weeks ago, and he busted out his terminal tackle box. Thing of beauty. And he opened it up to get me a hook. And I'm like, Joe, that is not proper terminal tackle box maintenance. Your hooks are loose. They're taking a beating in there. He's like, man, I never even thought about that. I'm like, yeah, you're going to have to come up with some solution for that because as much as you travel and are moving around the country, you're going to knock the points off them hooks. You're going to have to sharpen all. He had $1,000 worth of hooks in there.
Oh, it doesn't take much. Now, I'm going to ask you.
I hope he's watching tonight too, by the way.
I want to ask you guys a question about hooks. So you're pre-fishing, club tournament, it doesn't matter. But you have this bait. It could be a treble hook bait. It could be a jig. Now, it's the night before the tournament and you're getting ready. Are you going to reuse that bait the way it sits? Or are you getting a new bait?
You asking me?
I think I know the answer you're going to give me. If it worked, that's what I'm using.
If I wasn't fishing for $100,000, I would just, I'd feel them. I'd do my finger thing. Honestly, I do my finger thing and I touch them up. If it's really bad, and I could see that I was whacking on this thing and filing on it for a long time, I'll take the time and swap it out. And since we got the good pair of split ring pliers, it's really easy to do. Changing a treble, you start it off and you start the other one on right away. So when you're just spinning that thing, like George was showing you how to spin it, the one that you're taking off pops off and the other one just pops on and you're done. So it's not that bad, but but it would have to be a hook that I was whittling on for a while and, gets to that point where it's just too hard to keep sharpened and it's getting that wedge in there and it's starting to, I'll change the hooks out. Some people, God bless you, change them out for every tournament. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it, but I check them on my finger,
Sharp is sharp.
As long as it's sharp, I'm good.
Sharp is sharp.
My biggest problem is throughout the day, stopping and taking a minute and touching up my hooks. George does it all the time. It's so amazing to watch him fish for, a couple of hours and stop and then just touch up his hooks.
He
does it all the time.
I like the round bend Gamakatsu treble. That's what I like. That's my treble of choice. Do I use other trebles? Yes. A lot of these baits come through with Primo trebles, and I fish them out of the package. I'm not taking off a Primo treble to put on my favorite treble. Now, we'll say this. I check them. I touch them up. If they don't touch up, I take that off. I buy them. They make that treble hook I like in a 25 box. They're not cheap, but really, if you really analyze it, at the end of the day, I mean, I might go through 30 or 40 treble hooks a year. That's not bad. That's not bad. And I've got a fresh hook. I didn't spend 5 minutes trying to resurrect one with my file. I just went boom, 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 done. And I'm back in the game. I have them readily available in my boat. In my jet boat, I have a nice little box underneath the seat with nothing but trebles. I don't always have the ones I want in there, but that sparks me to get them. Now, this applies to more than just crankbaits and topwaters. The Mag Draft runs a treble. That thing takes a beating.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about the wear and tear on your hook, okay? You're putting all this effort, these long hours, you're doing the paces. You want to hook that fish, right?
Yeah.
If you're just fun fishing, I don't care if I lose them, but I want to hook them first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, take the time, touch them up, and change them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. Little start to the show with some terminal tackle talk. And
yeah.
It's, always like to spark some kind of interesting conversation off
Yeah.
to get things going. Tournament fishing this weekend. Conowingo Open Series on the Conowingo pool. Anybody watching that's close by, this Sunday is the first tournament kicking off the season.
Saturday is the Ike
tournament
on the Chesapeake Bay, locally in our neck of the woods.
Yep.
I'm sure where you guys all live, there's plenty of tournaments, but we have the Ike tournament on Saturday, which is a big event. First place is a Bass Cat.
Yep.
With a Yamaha.
Yep.
And
then Sunday
we're going to have a little river tournament.
Conowingo Series opens up down in Conowingo Pool. Everybody's welcome to come.
Great time.
George and I are going to be down there and fish the tournament, kick off the year down there. So we're pumped up for it. Trust me, it's a great tournament for everybody. It's inexpensive, and there's a bunch of great guys, and we have a great time down there fishing. And I think the fishing is going to be really good. So might be one for you guys to do. Registration starts at 4 a.m. at Peach Bottom Power Plant, at the power plant ramp, and blast off is at 5:30, and we're fishing till 1:30.
That's great hours.
Are you guys going to be sleeping in the park a lot? Sunday.
I literally live 25 minutes away from the boat ramp, and George and I still have to get up at 4 a.m. to go down there. Leave the house at 4 a.m. to get down there at 4:30.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big supporter of the series.
Yeah, we love
Obviously, we do.
We love it.
Me and Mike,
we sponsor it.
We throw some coin in the kitty. But I tell you what, I've spoken to the principal factors more than once. These hours, they fucking suck. I mean, they suck. Everybody knows the best bite starts at 10:30. Okay, that's just the first thing you got to understand about bass fishing. All the action before 10:30, it just ain't much. You got to have 10:30. I would start at 7 and fish till 3 every tournament year round. Official time 7 to 3. Dead of winter 7 to 3.
Yeah.
Blazing hot summer sun 7 to 3. That's just how it would be.
Fish don't even wake up till 7.
But this particular tournament,
we're fishing it. We're going to fish it. I'm excited about it. I hope to see everybody there. Check it out.
I can't wait.
Conowingo Bass Open Series down on the Conowingo pool, launching out of Peach Bottom Power Plant ramp.
Mm-hmm.
You can go there, register at the ramp at 4 a.m. We're blasting off at 5:30. So anytime between 4 and 5:30, you need to be there to register and in the water and ready to roll. Because he goes at 5:30, and that's the way it is.
Oh yeah, they run a tight ship, and they run a beautiful.
They run a great
really
tournament,
do.
yeah. And there's and the fishing's going to be great. So,
are you guys breaking out the skeeter or the jet boat?
Oh, we're going glass.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
We're going glass on this one.
We're gonna run the big water.
We're going big, going huge, huge.
We're gonna run the big water. Maybe next time we'll bust out the jet boat, but this time we're gonna run big.
The jet boat is basically a non-tournament boat. It's
ready though. We got it.
Oh, it's ready. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
But we don't use it in tournaments. It's a shallow water mission. Its mission is to drive in 3 inches of water.
We do our Bubba scale tournaments with it.
Yeah, we do. We
Yeah.
do. Not all of them.
No, not all of them.
Yep.
But anyway,
Looking forward to that this weekend, fellas.
absolutely.
How about you, Nick? You jumping in that Conowingo Derb with us on Sunday?
All right, so I won't be going on that, but I am going out in the river on Saturday.
Are you?
With my old man. He's going to get his boat finally out there
Oh, good.
somewhere. And then Sunday, I don't know where I'm going. I'll probably take the family out fishing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's good. That
Yeah.
sounds good. That
Oh, yeah.
sounds good.
Nice, Nick. You're a great family man.
You are.
Well, I did just get 2 days, like,
yeah.
you know, in a lake
Yeah.
somewhere else.
All right. Well, let's get this thing going here. We're going to go to our favorite segment of this show. And it's a segment that
Who's producing this?
we
thing?
love tackle. We love talking tackle, and this is called Tackle Talk. Yeah.
You know what, guys? We had a special visit tonight.
Yeah, we
right
did.
before closing time, and
Scott Van Leer.
Scott and his significant other brought us, and this is becoming a yearly
Yeah.
tradition. This
He comes up to fish the Ike tournament and always stops in the shop. And
is some good stuff here. So this is a Beals Gold Lager, Hellas Lager, and this is brewed on Smith Mountain Lake. They actually use Smith Mountain Lake water to make it. They take it out down by the dam where it's nice and clean, and it's
good.
crisp, smooth, deceptively simple. A beer for drinking, have fun. Beals, made in Bedford, Virginia, and well, I need another one because mine has run empty, and I'm gonna rectify that. Bedford, Virginia, and this is our second year experience in the Beals, and we want to thank Scott Van Leer and his significant other,
Yeah.
for stopping in, shopping with us as they always do,
And hanging out and chit chatting.
fishing the Ike event, and
They went through hellacious hailstorms to get here.
oh, they had a hell of a mission to get here. We had storms like you couldn't believe.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
All right,
But you
George.
know what? People just kept flocking into the shop.
Yeah. So
They were coming in. I mean, you can't keep a good fisherman away. You know what I'm saying? It took them 10 hours to drive up here. Did they stop? No. They went on over the mountains,
through the woods.
through the hail, sleet, snow, the blowing wind conditions, the danger. They got rerouted off of 95 and had to go through
They went through some
Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. in the hood, didn't get carjacked, and made it here. All to deliver Beals Gold. So there you go. Did I mention I was empty?
Yep.
I did.
Well, get started on this here.
I am.
Tackle Talk. What we got new? What's happening? What's the
Well-
big news that we want to?
I mean,
We have to do the big news.
it's not that big.
Big news.
I mean, pump the brakes.
It's big news.
I mean, it's big.
I think it's
Make no mistake about it. But the fuzzy dice have taken over the world. Of course, we've talked to you about the G-Crack Q-Bomb, one of the best dice baits in the business. But now we have, if I can get this thing open, I'll tell you, the packaging is incredible. we have the tumbleweed. So this is octagon. I think it's an octagon. 1, 2. It's a dodecaphon. Octagons are good, but dodecaphons are the best. So we have a dodecaphon.
It's not even a word.
Anybody can fish with an octagon, okay? We're rocking dodecaphons here, okay? Get it straight, bro. All right? Now, I will say this is one of the smaller dice baits we have investigated. And in full transparency, we have yet to fish this dice bait. But you can bet your bottom dollar that this is getting fished in the big Conowingo Open sometime between the hours of 5:30 and 1:30. I'm predicting a 12:30 to 1:30 call on the dodecaphon tumbleweed. But this is a salted bait. They also make this in an unsalted version. But in our opinion, a little heavier is better. So we're going to fish this bait 3 distinctly different ways. We're going to fish it right out of the pack for a slow fall. Wacky rig. So we're going to take a little wacky hook. We're just going to wacky it, right? Like a little, on this little bait here, we're going to do like a, I'd say maybe a number 1. Like a BKK Predator and just wacky it. Or you could do like more of a Nico style hook. The second way we're going to fish this is we're going to put a little tiny 32nd of an ounce tungsten nail weight in there to even sink it a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be sight fishing with this. We're going to use it as a follow-up bait. We're also going to use this on forward-facing sonar, wacky rigged with a tungsten weight, and on a drop shot. So this bait is like, think of the wacky rig Senko or finesse worm that you like as your follow-up bait, or in that scenario. This bait's filling that void. You know, we've seen it with the Q-bomb and many other dice-style baits, okay? We're seeing it on the national scene with Koyo Fujito on the Bassmaster. He's dicing in Florida. He's dicing.
He was dicing on
10 killer.
He was dicing on fork. He was dicing them out of the trees on fork.
Max 813. I'd flick shake that. Hell to the yeah. Max 813.
Yeah, good idea.
Great call.
George, do we know what the weight on those are?
I don't even think it's a given thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 4-pack.
It's a slow fall and a faster fall, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, the salted one I think is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's 4 in a pack for $10.99, so it's competitively priced. Watermelon red. Which I just showed you. Black and blue.
Ooh, that's going to be the one for the 12:30 to 1:30 Sunday.
Black and blue.
I don't think anybody has them. We're going to be the only ones that have them.
Listen, I didn't tell anybody we were using this bait. Now you're going on and on and on.
Yeah, you did. You just said between 12:30 and 1:30.
I wasn't talking about this Sunday.
Oh.
Here we have grape whiskey.
Look at that thing.
So you got like the grape body with the clear pepper strands.
Nice.
Now, if you'd be kind enough to slide over there and grab me that little Predator wacky hook, I would like to demonstrate how we're going to rig this. Now, check this one out. This one's called Smallmouth Candy. So you got your root beer, pepper, green, and purple fleck in both the body and the skirting.
Nice little bluegill bait.
Oof. My goodness. Okay. Oh, here's one we're going to look at. The white sauce. This is called white sauce. Look at that. Pearlescent. Sorry, Nick. Sort of a pinkish pearlescent, clear violet. That's the jam right there. That's the jam right there. Okay, let's look at another one here. This one's called, well, we just did that, watermelon red. This one here is summer crawl.
Summer crawl.
Summer crawl I like.
Yeah.
So here's one of the scenarios that I like this bait for. Clear water, low water, river fishing for smallmouth. When the bite gets tough and you normally go to a Wacky Rig. Look at that. You got the striated skirting with the faint chartreuse. You got the watermelon greeny kind of swirled with some faded chartreuse on the body. That's awesome. Summer crawl. And then, of course, I think the one that everybody's going to be all about, obviously green pumpkin. We're not going to look at green pumpkin, people. So settle down. But we are going to look at blue crawl. I think blue crawl is awesome. And that's that little blue swirl with a green pumpkin tentacle. Let me see that hook, Mike. So here's a BKK Predator hook. Okay. I'd say that's about a 1. And all we're going to do here is just come in. We're going to catch that bait like that. Okay, we got the weed guard. Got the Wacky Rig. We can put a small little 32nd ounce tungsten nail weight. Just your little tungsten nail weight. This is a 16th ounce, which is more than I would use.
Yeah, that's too big.
But just to kind of illustrate, take your little tungsten nail weight and just kind of run it through here like this. In there, like that. Just a 32nd ounce, no more. No more. For a little extra weight if necessary. So obviously we're fishing this on a spinning rod. We're fishing this on a lighter tackled spinning rod, right? Longer is better. You know, Mike and I will be throwing this a lot on our hair jig rods that we fish up on Lake Ontario and the Thousand Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Susquehanna. Here we have lemon drop. Look at that lemon drop.
What is that? That's like a
totally translucent.
Yeah, translucent chartreuse like looking thing. Looks like kryptonite, doesn't it, Nick?
Yeah. Lemon drop. And then, of course, the last one we'll look at before we move on from the tumbleweed is white sparkle. You're not going to need a lot of imagination for this one. Although I will say the sparkle is holographic. Now, if you're going to drop shot this bait, rig it exactly the same way as you will to wacky rig it, to cast it. Wacky rig it, but fish it on a drop shot. So you're going to wacky rig it. Now, the salted version that we're showing here has got enough weight. The unsalted version, yeah, I'd stick with the salted version. Wacky rig at Nico weight for more weight, and also drop shot.
I'll tell you, when I seen that today, first thing I thought about is I wish I would have had them in my last fishing adventure, because the fish were, the weather had them screwed up. The fish were in that post-spawn funk, and they would come up, look at your bait, and they would just be like, yeah, I'm not really interested. I think something like that would have been just
would have got that little bite. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's exactly when they're using them.
Yep.
When they're really fickle, you got to get that bite. That's when they're using them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have some great colors in that.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of colors. Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm hoping for one of our live on the waters. We have, I think it's 5 live on the water shows scheduled for you guys. And I'm hoping on one of those we can get into some clear water. I know we're going to fish the upper Chesapeake Bay, and we're going to fish the Susquehanna out of the jet boats. I'm not sure where else we're going.
Going to Jersey
I
one
think
day.
we're going to Jersey for one.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we get into some clear water where we can sight fish, or else we know fish are there. This is a bait you want to fish where you know fish are, because it's a very slow presentation. It's basically an ultralight wacky rig is how you think of this.
That's what I was going to ask you, George. So with this bait, you know, let's say you throw it out there, you're just kind of dead sticking it. Are you working it much, or are you just kind of letting it do its thing?
Yeah, you're going to have to experiment with that. You know, baits tend to move a lot more in the water than you give them credit for. Sometimes you're just deadhanding everything. Other times you need to shake it up. I think most fishermen by nature like to shake a wacky rig, you know, which probably isn't a bad thing. I know somebody was on here, Max 813 was saying flick shake. You know, the flick shake is basically a wacky jig head. And the beauty of the flick shake is it sets into motion this rocking action. And the worm, of course, is doing so you get that same rocking motion will occur on this bait. But you're going to have to use a lightweight 32nd ounce flick shake to do that. You know, so if you're a shallow water guy, you know, one thing I've and I don't have a lot of experience with these dice baits. But that's the goal for this year, is to become, you know, Andrew Dice Clay of the water.
I like it.
But I've been on numerous times. I've been on grass fisheries when you get into that late summer tough bite period where the grass has filtered the water. I call them aquariums. Perfect scenario. Of course, I love to do my river fishing with you guys, and I love it when it's low. I love it when it's real clear. And I sight fish a lot of smallmouth, or if we have a tight bite, it's amazing how they hit the wacky rig. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, this is going to go down as, you know, and we have different size baits. You know, you have the Q-bomb comes into 1.2, it comes into 1. This is a little smaller. This is, you know, this is like I would say this is like you know, this is like I don't know, we're going to measure it on the official Gerber measuring stick. All right, let's get the official measurement here, people. So body I mean, we're only talking 3/4 of an inch. So here's the 1 inch mark right here. We're literally at 3/4 of an inch. Dodecathon style of build. 3/4 of an inch. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. So excited to have the tumbleweed in stock. And let's see what happens. We'd like to hear your tumbleweed stories. So if you can go on to Facebook and share, we like that. Share your tumbleweed stories with us.
Yeah. See how this whole thing turns out.
Yeah.
Water's not conducive to it so much right now, but it's going to be.
Well, locally, but it's a big country.
Yeah.
So that's tumbleweed, $10.99 for a 4-pack. And yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So next up, we're going to revisit an old friend that's been catching a lot of fish in multiple ways. And it's been hot. And it's the Crush City Mooch Minnow. This bad boy has been catching a lot of fish in a lot of ways. And the one way, I mean, we all know about the jig head minnow, shaking your minnow, swimming it on a jig head, okay? Drop shotting, of course. But the one method that's been really quiet, not too quiet, I mean, Jacob Wheeler talked about it, is taking your small chatterbait, the baby jack, and putting the mooch minnow on as a trailer. And we're going to tell you why this is important. So let's rig it up here real quick so you can see it. Coming right there. Up over the keeper. And that Elastec, you gotta be patient when you're rigging that up. But keep in mind, you're rigging up for the long haul. Get it on that wire keeper. It's not coming off. You don't have to mess with it. But that little mooch minnow really lets this bait hunt. So you're going to get a lot more, you got this, boom, he kicks over here. 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 That's what we call hunting. That is highly desirable on the baby jack with the mooch minnow. That is freaking money. Okay? So we wanted to highlight that because it's been a hot little thing at the shop here. I don't know. I just like,
yeah, I like that.
I was like,
I like that combination.
I was out here with some customers earlier today. Because it was pretty busy in here today.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out here with some customers and also our Rapala rep, Charles Doherty, was here. Sir Charles, as I like to call him. Probably one of the top 25 reps in the industry.
He wouldn't agree with that.
Oh yeah, he's out of the thousands of reps that are out there, he's top 25, and he's pushing the needle hard towards the top. But we'll talk about that another time. But anyways, he was here sharing some of his Rapala knowledge with some peeps and Mike and I, and I was out there talking to some people, and they were talking about the Crush City Mooch Minnow. And Charles was telling me, in the country, the Mooch Minnow is like hotter than a $2 pistol. And I said, well, it's not that crazy hot around here, but we don't scope a lot. But it is becoming a deal on this baby jackhammer because it gives you some nice quiver, but it lets the thing hunt. So there you go. Versatility is the name of the game with the Mooch Minnow. Everybody knows about the jig head. Everybody knows about the drop shot. But did you know about a chatterbait trailer on the baby jack? The what's the other little one called?
Mini Max.
Yeah. All right, guys. Tackle Shop Talk, Tackle Talk Live. Got a whole bunch of people on here. In case you just joined us, We're just basically
Salivating over the new tackle.
we're talking tackle talk. We
tumbleweed. We went over that.
Tumbleweed. We just talked about the mooch minnow. Earlier, we went off on a tangent that took us down the interesting world of the mandatory must-have boat tools. Why and how? Okay. We're actually going to do a video on that hook sharpener because you know what? You need a close-up on that. We're going to do that video. We're going to put that out on the social medias out there so you can all watch that over and over again. We talked a little bit about the weather. It's been so nice. Daily inches of rain. So welcome. We are about halfway's in for the night, maybe a little over halfway's, and we're going to talk about a few more things. We're going to have a segment tonight on lessons learned from 10 Killer. We're going to have a segment tonight on like some of our favorite finesse techniques. I learned a valuable lesson fishing the last couple weeks about fishing past groups of fish because of a reluctance to go finesse. So spark some thought process. But now we're having our famous tackle talk section, which we really enjoy doing. We get a lot of feedback. We know you guys enjoy watching it. And so we talked about the Texas split ring prior from Texas Tackle. Jump on SFT Tackle, get you a pair of these, okay? Quick side note, when you cut the wire off the end of your spinnerbait to modify your spinnerbait blades, I mean, you do that, right? The back part. You want to change the front blade, you got to straighten out the wire, cut it off. You need a round nose plier to make that loop again. These aren't perfectly round, but guess what? They double nicely as a round nose plier. So you will either open up your wire and take off your back blade and your spacers and your front blade to change your front blade. And then a lot of times, sometimes you have to trim that a little bit. A lot of times you got to have that round nose to get that nice loop. So there's no gap there so you don't lose that back blade. Sidebar, multi-tool. So we talked about those. Now we're going to talk about a special that we're running on the St. Croix Mojo Trigon. So that's the latest version of the Mojo.
Big deal.
With the Trigon handle. And they're doing a 20% off special. So you can go on our website and you can pick out a Mojo. I'm going to recommend the casting 7.1 medium and 7.1 medium heavy. I'm also going to recommend the spinning. And they have several. There's a 6.8 medium extra fast. There's a 7.1 medium. And for all you wannabe tumbleweed experts, there's a 6.10 medium light extra fast. And when I say extra fast with the Mojo, that tip looks like it's on a hinge. They have an extra fast that is extra fast.
Unbelievable.
Okay?
Unbelievable.
So keep your eyeballs on that special.
Yeah, we just launched it tonight, and you guys are the first ones to hear about it. As Tackle Shop Live listeners, nobody else knows about it until tomorrow. You guys are going to get first shot at it. So it's up and running, ready to go. If you're interested, just jump on there. 20% off, Nick. Mojos.
Yeah, Nick, you're a big St. Croix guy.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you bleed purple.
Oh, it's funny that you said the rods that you announced that you would pick out. I'm like, yep.
Those are the hot five.
Well, yeah.
Now, I'm not 100% sure about this because I can no longer memorize entire product lines. But I think there's a 7.1 heavy.
I've not used that one.
That one there doubles up a little bit as a chatterbait / frogging rod.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but not like matted, but like skipping.
Yeah, I mean the 7'1", you brought up the 7'1" medium heavy.
Yeah, that's
just
spinnerbait, chatterbait.
Yeah.
You name
that is a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it really is.
That is a Swiss Army knife. Okay. The Mojo Trigon, has the Trigon grip, which, St. Croix has a way of building rods that are bold. And what they're doing is a lot of their forward-thinking rods, they're not afraid to go out there and do, and to their detriment sometimes, because their handles are, and a lot of times are pushing design, and they get two distinct outcomes from consumers. This is awesome. This sucks. There's never a middle ground unless you get into their traditional series.
No, I mean, you're exactly right, George.
Avid, Premier, Legend Elite, Legend X, all more traditional handles. I mean, serious handles and serious reel seats, but traditional. You get into Trigon, you get into Physics, you get into Legend Extreme. Those are polarizing handle designs that I mean, it's there's a Y in the road.
It's funny that you say that. And it is true. People either love them, hate them. I can tell you, and I've been fishing for a long time too. I can't really tell the difference between either.
Well,
when I pick them up, but my hand's not literally sitting on that part of the rod all the time. So it's interesting. It hasn't affected me in a negative or positive. But the blanks are second to none, and I love them.
Great blanks.
So, I mean, like you said, it's either you love them or hate them. But what I'll say to everybody that's listening or watching is, George always tells it the way it is, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't work for St. Croix. I mean, we're partners of them. Theoretically partner. I mean, we've been selling St. Croix rods for 35 years. Okay, we've seen it change. We've seen it evolve. And I'm not sitting here like telling you that I think St. Croix is the greatest rod company that ever existed. I think they're forward. I'll tell you what I think. I think they're very forward thinking. They're an American rod company. Now, not all their rods, before you get off the keyboard, before you get yourself all worked up, get your shorts in a bunch, every rod's not made in the US of A. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that, but most of them are. Mojo's not. It's made in Mexico, but they own the factory. And the people that work there are their employees. And they control everything from the manufacturing of the blank to the finished product. Again, let's not like nitpick this. I'm just making a statement here, and I think Nick's going to echo it. I know Mike's going to. They're forward thinking. I mean, some of the stuff they're doing with their blanks, and I'm a real connoisseur of fishing rods, and I'm not beholding to any brand. I mean, I'm just talking about me now. I love them all, and if I don't, you'll be the first ones to know. And I have said that.
Yep, you have.
Okay. I'm not going to pull punches here. I mean, I'm a St. Croix fan. I like their Legend Elite. I will put that rod blank up against any rod made today. Now, it's a $450 rod. It's not for everybody. I loved the first and the second generation of Mojo. I'm not too crazy about this handle. But you know what? Doesn't make it a bad rod. Just being honest. But what I was saying is, with their forward, like they're making their own blanks. And a lot of rod companies out there are putting their names on rods that someone in Korea is making. Okay. Does that make them a bad rod? No. But there's a certain amount of control when you design And I'll tell you, if you ever get a chance to meet the St. Croix team, they are some passionate rod building,
fishing
fanatics.
Fanatics.
Okay.
Every year when we talk to them, you should see the smile on their face when they talk about their stuff.
They're lit up.
As soon as we start talking fishing, they just gobble it up, man. They love it.
And I'm not trying to do a St. Croix infomercial here. I just think it's nice to talk about them.
Yeah.
But that Mojo special, 20% off. Okay.
It's a good deal. That
20% off.
That blank's awesome.
Jump on it. Okay, last up, before we talk about some techniques here, because we're burning some clock. Getting a little long-winded tonight. I want to talk to you about...
Yeah, would you shut up already?
I know, man. It's insane. I'm losing my shit. I want to talk to you about the Daiwa Kaje LT reel. Okay, so there's the 3000. Here's the 2500. Very recognizable by its cork knob. So the Kaje has gone through several generations. The original Kaje and this Kaje body designs are very similar, although this does have the LT light and tough treatment that the first Kaje didn't have because they weren't really on light and tough then. Zion body. Okay, Zion has the rigidity of aluminum with the weight of carbon. Very light. Very light. Tubular bale wire. Tournament drag, carbon washers.
Air rotor.
Air rotor. Very light air rotor. All skeletonized out. Balanced well.
Machine metal handle.
Yeah, the machine metal handle. I made some notes. 6 bearings. 1 corrosion resistant. Now, I will say this. I would like to see Daiwa on their higher-end spinning reels put all corrosion-resistant bearings in. I like to see them, give that to us as consumers. They have one, which is great. If you fish brackish water, if you're a wade fisherman, this bearing right here, which is the most likely to get water intrusion, is corrosion-resistant. That's great. Because their CRBBs do not rust, ever. Look at that thing. The own weight of the handle. As I'm sitting here running my yaps and flipping the thing around.
Smooth.
Either that or there's a ghost in here.
I got one of them bad
I
boys.
see dead people.
I got one of them on my finesse spinning rod. Pretty bad to the bone.
Yeah, this is the LT. The last year's model was the MQ, very much expensive. This is coming into you at, I want to say $249. Pretty accurate on that. 6:2-to-1 ratio. The little 2500 here is bringing in 34 inches of line per crank.
That's a lot of line.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. That's where you want to be. You want to be 33 to 36. This guy right here, 37, 3000 T handle. Okay. Aluminum gears.
That's strange, but
okay. Yeah, aluminum gears. See how that tariff works on them aluminum gears? Start calculating that weight of that aluminum. Put a 50% tariff on there. We'll see what happens. Might be $249.99. But yeah, so there you go, guys. That's your tackle talk. I know it got a little long-winded, but we did talk about a lot of other stuff.
Oh yeah,
You did a great, awesome stuff, George.
we go through some stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting some good feedback from all the peoples out there, and I appreciate it. Guys, I was in here working last Sunday, and I had the whole shop to myself. I had the doors locked, and I was set up. I had all my various media things pointed to Bassmaster for the last day of the Elite. First, I want to shout out our boy Greg GDP De Palma for stitching together another amazing finish.
Solid, very solid,
Very good.
much needed points.
And this tournament, I have some takeaways that I'm going to bring to you. What do you think of that? What do you think of that finish for GDP, cameraman Nick.
Well, what I wanted to say about it is that exciting is Tuesday I'll be with Greg.
Oh.
And we're going to be, making some content about the tournament. And I think when people find out what exactly he was doing and how he was doing it, they're going to be like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, he had a plan. His plan worked. And you know what? I mean, awesome tournament for him. Like you said, Mike.
Yeah.
Great in the points.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know if anybody took this away. And George, I don't want to get, too deep into what you're going to talk about, but we're getting to that point of the year with 2 tournaments left. There are guys that are either going for the Angler of the Year, they're going for the Classic, or they're going to stay in the elites.
Yeah.
And, it's critical.
Yeah.
So that critical points.
Absolutely.
Awesome job, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point that you make. The Angler of the Year race took a big shift. So, what's his name? The young guy, Trey McKinney, fished the last cut day and the final day. And
Again.
Jay Security didn't.
Yeah.
And that was a big swing for Trey McKinney. Now, last year, Trey McKinney took a hit like that when he took a
DQ or something, wasn't it?
DQ for a day.
DQ for a day in Florida.
Yeah.
And then he had another
Snafu.
ding,
Yeah.
which basically took him out of the AOY running. So we're seeing the reverse of that. And this Trey McKinney kid is unbelievably talented.
Crazy.
Crazy. So this Angler of the Year race, and Chris Johnston could go back to back.
He's right there. He's right there.
He could go back to back AOY. He is the real deal. He was here during Bass Fest, and we got to spend a lot of time with him. And he is no joke.
Yep.
I mean, this is not going to be an accident.
No.
Let me tell you something. The top 3 guys in the AOY race, this is a dogfight. So 2 more tournaments. In my opinion, that's 8 days of must-see TV. I'm talking 8 until – now, they did have some issues at 10 Killer because it rained actually on day 2 or 3, the pros said it was the hardest. A lot of them said it was the hardest rain they had ever fished in.
Like today. That's exactly what it was like.
So
freaking howling ass wind.
I have some takeaways. I have what I like to call 10 Killer lessons learned. First of all, I would like to relive with you the final day weigh-in. So we have Wes Logan sitting up there on the hot seat, right?
Yeah.
Sitting on the hot seat, right? And we have Andrew Loberg, who has wire-to-wire this thing up until this point.
And he's catching them, still catching them.
Catching them all day.
All day.
All day.
All day.
The last day was challenging, and we're going to more on that in a minute.
Yeah.
Because we have some great lessons we can take home from this. Loberg comes up on the stage, and Dave Mercer, being the super educated, knowledgeable guy that he is, because he knows this game upside down, inside out, and backwards. He looks at the bag. He goes, "This is going to be really close, people." And when the scales settle, Loberg lost by 1 ounce.
Crazy, man.
Now,
crazy rookie. He's a rookie.
The backstory on that is that Wes Logan had his smallest fish. And I want to say it was about a 2.8. And he was running out of time. It was the end of the day. He pretty much had to get going and make his run in. He flipped into this tree, and a good fish, not a big fish, but a good solid fish, boiled on his jig as he was reeling it in. And he's like, "Oh man, that's a hot fish." He dropped his raptors, and he's like, "I only got a couple minutes. I gotta fish for this fish. This is what I have to do." Now, keep in mind, in reality, he's 3 ounces behind. In reality, as it turned out at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
He catches this fish on about the 20th flip when he's ready to go. Weighs it on his scale, and he calls up 3 ounces. Drops it in the box, drops the hammer on his boat, his Falcon boat, runs in, weighs in 9th place. Andrew Loberg comes up and weighs in and loses by 1 ounce.
Unbelievable.
He needed 3 ounces. Loberg needed, the weight difference was 3 ounces. Wes Logan said that fish was 3 ounces heavier than the fish I called out. I mean, this is some freaking next level mind game stuff.
So when you think of that 4-day tournament, what is the odds even of that?
It's just,
I mean,
unreal.
It's good
Finish
as it
like
gets.
that. It's the greatest finish.
I mean,
one of
we
the
had
greatest finish ever.
We had some blowout tournaments this year where it was like
Yeah.
20 pounds over everybody
Yeah.
or whatever it was. That's as good as it gets
Yeah.
right there.
Well, it's like football. They say football's a game of inches. Baseball, 162 game series. Every pitch matters. Hockey, big long season.
Yeah.
Everything matters.
Came down overtime.
This tournament with seconds to go was a 3 ounce call that led to a 1 ounce win.
And here's the other thing, George, was the difference between $80,000.
Yeah.
You went from winning 100,000 and he was on his way, led all the tournament, like you said,
Yeah.
to getting a $20,000 check.
Yeah.
And $80,000 difference.
Yeah.
So what's one of the most famous sayings in tournament bass fishing?
Ain't over till it's over.
Close.
Ain't over till the fat lady sings.
Never give up.
Never give up. Mike Iaconelli's coined term. That proves never give up. So when you're fishing your club derby or your cigar bet with your buddies or whatever it is you're doing to get that competitive yin and yang, and your weigh-in is at 3 o'clock and it's 2 o'clock and the fishing's miserable and it's 97 degrees out, never give up. And I can remember so many tournaments. And one of the ones I like to talk about was a good friend of mine who's no longer with us, passed from cancer, and he was fishing with me probably the last tournament he ever fished. And it's pouring down rain. It's pouring down rain. We got ran off the flats by water spouts and then ran back out. And we got ran off again by thunderstorms and then ran back out. We got ran off again by thunderstorms and came in and was fishing the river near the ramp. And the whole entire club, one by one, idled past us. And my boy Bruce is on the back deck and he's flipping. And he got a small limit. He's flipping. Every one of these guys, it's pouring buckets of rain. Every one of them comes past and they're like, you guys coming in? Yeah, 3 o'clock. We get back. We're only a half a mile from the boat ramp. We put the boat on the trailer. We go back in the parking lot. The whole entire club is tied down, cleaned up, ready to go. And we do scales, so they're waiting for us to do the weigh-in. I won the tournament, and Bruce got lunker, and he caught that lunker on his last flip. Never give up, right? This guy won that tournament on his last flip.
I love it. And, we talk about that all the time. Never give up, or, it's all about the confidence or attitude. I always said to it, every tournament you get into around 9 o'clock, half the field is already done.
Especially if the wind's blowing.
Oh, yeah.
It's raining.
Done.
Yeah.
It's cold.
And if you can grind it out, you're giving yourself a much better chance than most people.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Yeah.
Now, in the Elite Series, you never give up because of the amount of money you have on the line. But I'll bet you there's some guys that give up.
It's a game of ounces. You got to be, you see those guys calling all the time, with, some of those guys were catching 30, 40 fish a day, and they were calling every single time for ounces.
How about this?
Now you know why.
How about how many times?
Now you know why.
How many times does the final classic qualification come down to like?
Oh, it's going to happen this year.
1 point.
Yeah.
1 point.
Yeah, it's going to come down to one fish that you didn't call out right or something.
What's the greatest saying in sports? You can't win the series in game 1, but you can lose it.
Yeah.
Let's face the facts. The reason why we love doing what we're doing, whether it's fun fishing, tournament fishing, or doing this show, is because fishing is one of the ultimate mental games.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
You know, think about it. We were fishing this spring and we're not doing that well, and we make the right decisions to at least make a good day. And you do that in tournaments. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting sport.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, George, it's going to come down to the last tournament this year in the elites for the angler of the year, for the classic, and whoever makes it to the elites next year or not.
Every minute matters. Never quit early. Never be back. If you're doing it 3, you go past the check-in boat at 2:59 and 58 seconds.
Yeah, it's a little close.
No, it's not.
I don't like that.
Oh, you're not fishing the elites. Now, other takeaways from 10 Killer that I think, guys, we can all learn. And this tournament was like something that most bass guys know. Water goes up, fish go to the bank. Water drops, fish pull off the bank. But not all the time and not everywhere in the country. Because a lot of times when you have a body of water where it fluctuates a lot, those fish are like, get me off the elevator. I'm cool in the middle ground. I sort of go up and I sort of come out. So we had a tournament here where a lot of fish did go up on the high water. This lake was up and down 8 feet 3 times in a 2-week span. That's a lot. And it was up and down during this tournament. And the bite got tough at moments because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So following the fish. Well, Loberg figured out, and so did Jordan Lee, that a lot of the better fish stayed out on what would be a shallow part of the original bank and didn't go up, which happens a lot on these lakes that fluctuate a lot. It's famous in Texas grass fisheries in the spring, where the fish will be on the inside grass line, which might be in 8 feet of water. They're like, I'm not going. Mm. So, we saw that, and we saw the fact that we should learn that the better fish who have, theoretically more experience with this, have seen this, it's a little more ingrained in their DNA, if you will. I found that fascinating. I found it fascinating. I also found it fascinating that this was an old school pitching and flipping tournament. We saw 3/8 to 1 ounce weights. We saw punching on a non-grass lake. Now, I know you guys have experienced this in your day. Mm-hmm. Punching trash mats. Mm-hmm. Same thing. A mat's a mat.
Yep.
Whether it's sawdust, limbs, and Coke bottles, or matted grass, or chopped up grass.
There was some nasty stuff floating around in that lake.
Yeah. So we got to see like old school punching.
Cool tournament.
Missile D bombs and max scent creature hogs and sweet beaver and straight shank 4/0 and 5/0 flipping hooks. All the top guys, every one of them. But they weren't necessarily up in the bushes the whole time. They were in the bushes, but some of the bushes were out, right?
Yep.
What do you got, Nick?
One of the things Greg said, and I didn't even think about this, but this 10 Killer is not a very big lake. They're used to fishing like lakes that it's almost too big to pre-fish. It's, how do you dwindle it down? This lake was the opposite. And you almost had to, start to really find the spots within the spots. And, the guys that did that the best were the guys that could, because a lot of the guys were sharing water.
Oh, yeah.
A
lot of it was the rotation that you were in too.
Yep.
And fishing that a little bit different. We saw the chatterbait play. We saw KJ Queen make it to the final day, mostly on a bladed jig. We saw the square bill play. We saw our very good friend Keith Combs make it to the final day on a 1.5 and a 2.5, and he even threw a 4.0 a little bit.
Yeah, it's really cool how he set up on those points on the current side of the points and fished that current water and the eddy pocket and just like you would fish a current situation, he'd set up on those little sharp points and just fish the current line.
Current's current.
Really cool.
Current's current.
Really cool how he did that.
A push is a push, whether the current's barely moving or it's ripping.
Yeah.
And these guys are the best, right?
Yeah.
In runs. Last week we talked about dirty water and going to the backs and fishing pipes that are bringing water in.
Mm-hmm.
Now these I like to call them freshets, but they're in runs. Waterfalls, creeks running in that are not dirty. You know, we have a little lake nearby us here that is fed by a pumping station from the Susquehanna River. It's a watershed, and when it gets low, they'll pump it. The pipe's like 10 miles long to the river, 15 miles long, and then it cascades down this hill, and it's like opening up the fire hydrant, you know? Well, they fish stacking that current, man. They stacking that current instantly. That's what these were. These were these waterfalls, freshets. I love it. Yeah, swim jig. We had a shad spawn on this lake, and it was over quick. The first flight guys were the only ones. We saw the swim jig in marinas. We saw the topwater popper in marinas. We saw the shad spawn because they love to spawn on the styrofoam on them floats. We saw that shad spawn. Like, you better get it quick. You put a limit in the boat in 5 casts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's exciting. You know, the only bad thing about the tournament season, there's only 2 left.
Oh.
It's like already. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that was fun to watch. I mean, that last day of that tournament was fun to watch, and I hope you know, everybody sees the excitement in it. You know, some people don't, but a lot of excitement in that. And I tell you, 4-pounder went a long way in that tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
He really didn't catch a lot of big fish.
Everybody had a 10 to 12 pound bag, and
yeah,
had to have something different.
Yeah, 4-pounder went a long, long way.
Yep.
3.5 pounder. You got that fish, man. It was like, yeah, baby. That's
well, I think Greg got 20th, and if he would have had 2 more pounds, he'd be in the top 10. Yeah. I mean, it's that close. It's really that close.
Yeah, surely is. Well, what do you got, George? Where are we at here?
I'm back, baby. Well, you know, I want to talk a little bit about Finesse just for a few minutes. You know, this Nico rig is like, I spend an hour a day with a dozen different customers going over the Nico rig. It's really gotten to be a player, which means a lot of fish are getting stuck because it is a fish catching son of a gun. But it's not like light line finesse, because I Nico rig myself. I Nico rig with a spinning rod, but I fish a minimum of a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader, which, by the way, 12-pound fluorocarbon,
strong stuff.
It is. Fluorocarbon has come a long way.
Strong.
And
I mean, right in a tree and get fish
15's like 20, 12's like 15. Yeah. So, you know, a 12-pound leader, Nico rig, and I like to call it shallow power finesse. I use a medium heavy spinning rod, and it's just, I'll tell you, not a big finesse guy, but like I said earlier, I learned a valuable lesson a week before last. I was fishing with my friends, Stallion and Real Perfection Joe, and I was fishing over and past the fish. and I've done it before. I just sometimes I get in a power fishing mode, and fun fishing or tournament fishing, I want to catch every fish that swims in the body, all of them. I want to catch every last one of them till they all have felt the steel. And I was way off base, so I learned a couple things. Shallow water, stealth. There's times when that stealth is so important. So I found out that by spot locking, I was announcing my presence to the fish. It was just one of those days. I'm sorry, that's the way it was. I spun my boat around in the current. I spot locked, went silent.
You didn't spot lock, you power pulled down.
Yeah, you're right.
Spun
I said spot lock.
Yeah.
I spun the boat around because the current was flowing.
Yep.
And I dropped my poles. And we were in 2 foot of water. But what I learned was, I didn't really learn it. It reinforced, sometimes like I'll say stupid stuff like, I don't finesse fish. I'm not throwing a TRD. I'm not throwing a drop. No, that's a negative defeatist attitude.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Got to do it sometimes.
I threw a TRD.
Yeah.
I threw a tube. I'll put the drop shot right there with it. Speaking of our good friend GDP, he taught me, man, put that heavier leader on, shorten up your leader length a little bit, and put that drop shot in places. And you Texas rig with a straight shanked hook, 2.0, 3.0 straight shanked hook, and you use a medium heavy rod. And again, this fluorocarbon is bad to the bone. I'm fishing all the big brands. I'm fishing my favorite high seas 100%. I'm fishing Mastiff. I'm fishing FC Sniper. I'm a big Tatsu fan. This stuff is bulletproof.
Yeah.
I mean, you get them wrapped up and they come out of the gnarliest cover and it's not even frayed. So don't be, if you're a big old Bubba 20, 25 pound guy, you can lighten up a little bit. Take it from George. You're going to be all right. Plus, it's a spinning rod.
Well,
you can only put so much pressure on them.
Well, when you're finesse, my whole thing with finesse fishing is, I don't think anybody likes to do it. Honestly, we'd rather catch them power fishing with a chatterbait, rolling a spinner bait, cranking, doing a top water, a jerk bait. We want to keep moving because that's just like you're doing something. But my thing with finesse fishing is when you exhaust all that stuff, there is a bite. There's absolutely a bite. But it's funny now in my mind. It's almost like I like to get that drop shot out. I take that drop shot. It's become the bait that I will get bit on when I'm not getting bit.
Very true.
You know what I'm saying? The Wacky Rig Senko. It's the bait that I will get bit on when I'm not getting bit. And that's my confidence level in finesse fishing.
And you know what else, Mike, that goes along with that? That first bite.
Yeah.
And your mindset changes.
Yeah. But it's even before
that first bite, and you're like, I'm all in on this.
I mean, it's even before you pick that bait up. It's like you have that cushion to fall back on that you're going to catch them. And you will catch them with these types of techniques. Is it smart to start out with it in the morning, first thing, or in your fishing day when you first go out? Is it smart to start out with a drop shot? Is it smart to start out with a Wacky Rig? It is if you enjoy it. If you enjoy throwing finesse stuff and worming and that's your gig, that's great to start out with that. Is it what I'm going to start out with? No, I'm going to figure out a power fishing bite, and that's the way I roll. But there's a point where if I just know that I have to slow down and I can't wait to do it, man. I can't wait to get on that. When I get on it, I have complete confidence in the drop shot and the Wacky Rig for me.
TRD.
A TRD. I could pick a TRD up and just know that I'm going to catch them.
The big TRD.
Go to a 2.5 inch tube. I know I'm going to catch them on it. I just know I'm going to get them.
I mean, how about finesse flipping? You know, like I many a time have been around a lot of boats on grass, and I'm around fish.
Yeah.
And the bite's done. You know, there's too many trolling motors. There's been too much interference. You know, I'm a big creature bait guy. I'm a big sweet beaver guy. I'm a big missile D-bomb guy. I'll tell you right now, you look at my day box on my Skeeter boat, the front half is D-bombs and sweet beavers. The back half is baby D-bombs and smallie beavers. And don't even think for a second that flipping rod with a 3-aught hook and that smallie beaver is not finesse flipping. That is finesse flipping.
Yeah.
Tube. Nick, I want to ask you, because I know you're not opposed to the finesse world.
No, and I look at it from a different angle. I agree with everything you guys said, but I'm going to come at it from a different angle of this past week. We talked about top water last week, and we talked about sexy dogs and, you know, the big style top waters. Well, I started doing that this week. I'm like, okay, that's what I wanted to do, but I wasn't getting any type of action. So I went to a Super Spook Junior, and next thing you know, I'm catching fish. So to me, even that adjustment was more of a finesse.
Finesse top water.
Okay, finesse top water. The other thing I take notice of is within reason with your finesse baits, if you can get away with lighter line, depending on what you're using. Like I look at what you're showing today, the tumbleweed. I would personally want to get away with the lightest line I could, because you're going to get the best action out of that bait.
Very true.
And I've seen that a lot. It makes a difference within reason. You know, you don't want to use 4-pound test.
No, but if you're in open water.
Yeah. And I'll go from it from that point of view, like finesse in a different way. Maybe somebody else is throwing a 5-inch, you know, swim bait. Guess what? They might be on a 3.3.
Yeah.
They still catch big fish.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and to your point about the line on the small finesse baits, I will say this, and it goes back to what we just talked about on the 12-pound fluorocarbon is like the 15 used to be. The 15-pound fluorocarbon is like the 20 used to be. Well, let me tell you something. The 6-pound fluorocarbon is like the 8 used to be.
Yeah, it's
and like Mike and I are big High Seas fans. Their 6-pound fluorocarbon has always been
crazy,
a demon. So this tumbleweed, I'm throwing this right here. I have a rod for this. I'm throwing this on a 710 medium light Victory extra fast with 10-pound braid and a 6-pound leader.
I like it.
And I'm going to launch this freaking thing into another zip code. Let me call me AT&T. And I'm going to tell you right now, that thing catches big fish. That little hook, open water. What's your obstacle? It's open water, right? Yeah. You're not in grass. You're not in
that's the other
wood. You're not in rock.
Yeah, that's the other
not around docks.
Other nice thing about a drop shot is you could drop shot a 6-inch drop shot worm and present a big bait, but at the same time you can go all the way down. Like you know, I'll be fishing along and I'm like, man, I want to go down to a little bitty, you know, minnow looking bait like this, like a little 3-inch or
like a mooch minnow,
like a small little 2.5-inch something, and you just nose hook that like that Hasdong shad. Just a little bitty thing.
Yep.
You put that on a little small thing and you drop that down there, and it's a morsel that a fish isn't intimidated to eat, even if they're not hungry. It's a little morsel. It's a little, get it down in their face. Hey, if I catch a 12-incher, my line's stretched. I'm good.
Well, guess what?
That's a good question.
I'm good.
What does every angler want?
I don't care, man.
Another bite.
That's exactly right. What does every angler want? They want their line stretched.
Elephants eat peanuts.
But at the same time, you can catch big ones on that. But I don't care. I'm getting bites. If I'm not getting bites, power fishing, I'm quick to change. I am very quick to change.
Now, I want to ask you guys a question. I've been thinking about this. When you guys said you want to do finesse fishing today, I actually thought about this while I was on the lake. What in your mind is the #1 finesse bait that the majority of anglers catch fish on?
Senko.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Why though, in tournaments, and I'm talking like the elites and all that,
Yeah.
why are we not seeing the Senko play?
Well, you know, it's funny because in Major League Fishing, it plays like big time because of catching catching fish, numbers of fish, numbers of fish, numbers of fish. And maybe it's a fish catching bait.
It is.
It's a fish catching bait. I mean, look at our boy, the aluminum guy, right? What's the hell is his name, George? Cox. John, that son of a gun's won hundreds of thousands of dollars on a Wacky Rig Senko style bait. You know what I mean? The General, Wacky
Sight
Rig.
fishing. When it's spawn season, they're fishing Senko.
Yeah, they're fishing it. These guys are fishing. They're catching fish on it. It's a bait that catches fish. Now, I don't know. I mean, on the bay, they fish it down there and they win tournaments on it.
I was just thought it was curious because
Yeah.
now that you just brought up another point to go against mine.
Yeah,
In the Bass Pro Tour, they do.
because
The brothers from Florida, they
yeah,
use the General a lot
yeah,
to catch fish. But in the elites,
yeah.
other than Cox, it doesn't seem to play for the 5 biggest fish
It does in bedding season.
in bedding season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool though. I just
No,
thought it was
I-
interesting.
No, it's a great point.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. I mean, when it gets tough, you see those guys going to a drop shot. You know what the next thing is that damn Nico rig.
Oh, I love it.
It's like the Wacky Rig in reverse or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like doing the Wacky Rig, but
And with that Nico
and they catch
rig,
giants on that freaking thing.
I want to ask you guys this about a Nico rig. When they throw a Nico rig, are they working it like they work a hover rig, which is over the fish, or are they letting it fall and that fish is going down and
Well, it depends if they're fishing like a brush pile
okay?
on a ledge. They're fishing the cover, so it's in the cover. If they're scoping, they're shaking it above them.
Okay.
Yep. But like
I fish it on the bottom. I don't know. That's just the way I fish it.
Yeah, few people are scoping with a Nico rig. Drew Gill is. But yeah, a brush pile, that is a deadly offshore summertime technique is the Nico and the drop shot in the brush piles. We have a guy from Florida on here, Alan Lower, has a great question about what line do you recommend for drop shot in Florida? I'm going to tell you, Alan, Mike and I have fished and Nick have fished Florida lakes a lot. And it's like 100% vegetation.
Yeah, power. You got to power up on that.
The trick is, you're fishing on a spinning rod, unless you're power shotting. Different conversation. But you're fishing on a spinning rod, so you have a medium heavy spinning rod. You have some power, but you're not ripping fish out of the water. I personally would fish a 12 or a 15 pound leader on my braid, and I don't care what the braid is. It can be 10 or 15. I'm a 15 braid guy, but I'd fish a 12 or a 15 leader, and just know this: that small hook is like a splinter. So you're gonna fish a 6-inch trick worm, Texas rigged on a 2.0 or a 3.0 mid wire hook. It's like a splinter.
Gets in there.
When you set the hook on them, you're going to need pliers to get the hook out most of the time. Just keep the pressure on. Even if the fish is wrapped in the grass, just keep pressure on them, and they're coming out. I know you guys have a lot of brush piles on your lakes. Same difference. You get one wrapped up in a brush, just stay on them. Direct, constant pressure, and they swim out. They swim out. So It's a great question, Alan, and we appreciate you asking it, because I think it really transfers over to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we fish heavy vegetation down in on our body of water down Chesapeake Bay, and when I go down Chesapeake Bay, I fish 15-pound braid to a 12-pound leader. That's just what I do. I feel comfortable around docks with it. I feel comfortable around trees with it. I feel comfortable around rock with it, and I don't have a problem pitching in the grass clumps and grass. You saw me, Nick. I mean, that's 12-pound leader, and and I have no problem fishing that. And that's my heavy setup.
Works great.
That's my heavy drop shot
Works
setup.
great.
And I put it on a medium heavy 7-foot spinning rod. And
For the most part, guys, we're not talking about using a drop shot rod. Your rod will not say drop shot on it. It will be a 7-foot medium or medium heavy, fast or extra fast. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's going to be an all-around rod.
yeah,
It's not going to say drop shot. You don't want a drop shot rod.
yeah,
If you take a drop shot rod into wood, docks, and grass, you are bringing a knife to a gunfight.
You really
yeah.
are.
And no doubt.
The guns will win.
But in the same mouth, George, the drop shots rods are made for a reason, and that's for finesse, heavy duty finesse fishing. Open water, dropping down, like Nick said. There's times where the 6-pound test will get the bites that the 8 and 10 and 12 are not going to get the bites. So those rods are made for those types of bites.
Absolutely.
And you have clear water situations, you have pressured fish situations. Raystown Lake's a perfect one, Nick, that you fished over the weekend, and you found out that that's a clear water body of water, and if you scale down and you drop down, you'll get the bites.
Yeah, it seems like it's some of them clear water lakes, especially highly pressured lakes.
Yeah.
You really have to finesse. I mean, and we're talking even a different scale of finesse. That's why I was so excited.
It's another
about
level.
the
Yeah.
tumbleweed.
Yeah.
You know, we go up to Lake Ontario. I think the difference is that water's clear too.
Yeah.
But those fish, to me, there's so many of them
Yeah.
that they're in such competition for the
Yeah.
bait.
Yeah.
Or in some of these other lakes, it's
No.
like they're not.
No, you're right. You're exactly right. The population of fish, but at the same time, when you're in Lake Ontario and you're out there in the deep water, an 8-pound test leader is kind of heavy. Those guys are fishing. They're fishing, 6 and 8, but they're using real long, light rods, and then that's where you use it.
Well, you guys have seen this before. If the guy behind you or in front of you is catching more fish than you, and let's say clear water or whatever,
yeah,
ask him some questions.
Yeah, number
Hey,
one,
what size line are you using?
I instantaneously ask what leader are you using?
Yeah, because if you're using 10 and they're using 6 and they're whooping the crap out of it, you might.
I know what I'm doing. Only takes a second to tie me up a knot. All right.
Guys, before we close the show tonight, great show, by the way. Great finesse talk. Great lessons from 10 Killer. Just a great show. We have a call to action. And I'm talking to everybody out there. Tell your friends. Bring it to your bass club meetings. Stand on the street corner and shout it to the people. We need you to go to bassmaster.com. We need you to go to the Save Rodman Reservoir link. We need you to copy and paste the letter that they have written for you, sign it, and send it to Mr. Ron DeSantis. They want to tear the dam out at Rodman and eliminate the lake. And that is some 100% bullshit. So we need a call to action. It's going to take you a total out of your day, out of your life. It's going to take you about 5 minutes. So maybe you don't fish in Florida. But if this goes, then maybe next they come to the dam on the little lake that you fish.
Yeah.
That is killing some kind of 2-inch long minnow or something that somebody from PETA found out.
And George, that lake that you're talking about right there, is that a historic lake?
Oh, Rodman Reservoir, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Ask John Cruz about it.
Yeah.
So if we could all just take a couple minutes, just click on bassmaster.com, click on that link. There's a little thing on the right side, Save Rodman Reservoir, copy and paste to Ron DeSantis, asking him to reconsider. Perhaps he wasn't fed the right amount of facts.
Information.
And we have a voice here. We have thousands of people that watch this and listen to it. And you know what, guys? We're fishermen. We're conservationists. We're outdoorsmen. Let's do it. Do it.
Yep. Get on there and check it out.
Do it now.
Yep. All right, Nick. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by another edition of Tackle Shop Live. We love doing this show for you. Make sure you go to our social media sites and like and comment and share and help us out with that. That'll really
Please.
yeah, please. And don't forget, the Mojo Bass special is going on right now. Go on to the website, jump on Mojo Bass Trigon, and you'll see the prices on there. You'll see the rods that are available. Jump on that. We'll get them shipped out to you right away. Till next time, we'll catch you on the next Tackle Shop Live.
Right there, you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day, you called me up. You told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Oh, please I woke up all soaked in sweat with chills.
Hello, Walt. He unplugged my microphone. How you doing, buddy? Good seeing you, pal. I was just talking about you. Good seeing you, buddy.
Don't make me wait. It's not a funny game. You know just what I feel. Please tell me our love is real.